government is officially shut down. What exactly does that mean, and how will it affect you?
Born and raised.
Logan is about to elect a mayor. Are you ready to vote?
Coming up on ATV Sports, we're taking it to the corner. And we talk about Utah State football and the term used for students who wear Utah and BYU clothes on campus.
There's just enough wind to wave the anti-BYU flag, but it might get worse for the actual game. I'll let you know coming up on ATV Weather.
It's all coming up on ATV News.
Welcome to ATV News. I'm Brandon Fonda.
And I'm Jenna Lynn. Today we mark the second day of government shutdown. Congress and the President met this morning to discuss a compromise, but until budget can be agreed on, government programs will stay halted. This includes national parks and museums, loans, and food assistance until furloughs are lifted. Hundreds of thousands of government workers' paychecks have been delayed. The government shutdown hits home for some Utahns who need social services like the Special Supplement Nutrition Program for Women, Infants, and Children, or WIC, to stay afloat. Roughly 65,000 Utahns rely on WIC each month. Stacy Hale, a mother of two, says her family has tried to do it on their own, but after hitting some hard times, they were counting on some extra help to make ends meet. She says seeing all of the frustration and hardship this shutdown has forced on families makes her feel like she doesn't have any say in the government.
I feel like a bystander. I feel like they're going to air the sirens and say, okay, duck and cover, because we're going to do what we want anyway.
You can tell it's almost election.
Although most of the government has shut down, Logan City is moving forward with the mayoral race. Victoria Hepworth shows us how candidates are gearing up to win your vote.
You can tell it's almost election time with videos like this coming out. This year's mayoral candidates are busy campaigning.
It's exciting to see the candidates, as they go through, campaigning and how excited they are, and then just, election day is always, I think, a fun time to see what's going to happen at the end of the night.
Born and raised 100 yards that direction.
Randy Watts is the current mayor, and both he and Craig Peterson have set up websites with all of their campaign information on it. They're both hoping people will visit their website before making a decision.
A lot more hot air than I thought.
Craig has a lot more time to dedicate to his drive.
Because I retired from university last spring, so I could have just ridden off into the sunset and done whatever I wanted.
And so he's been able to dedicate a lot of time, and good for Craig. I know he's putting a lot of effort in. I have to campaign, and I have to run a city.
It is talked about.
But the mayor doesn't want to give up, even though Craig came out on top in the primaries with 44% and Mayor Watts at 34%.
I'm encouraged by the way the primary turned out.
We'll see how it all turns out the 5th of November. It's exciting, but it also is challenging because when it's over, I'll be glad when it's over. I think Craig will too.
Victoria Hepworth, ATV News.
If you would like to get to know the candidates a little better before casting your vote, the Downtown Alliance will be hosting a meet and greet event tonight.
USU is an idle-free campus. This might seem annoying, but we found out that this policy not only helps Cache Valley's bad air quality, but also your budget.
A mixture of gasoline and nastiness.
That's the smell made by the exhaust from an idling car.
As a sustainability counselor, we're trying to find ways to help with this issue. And about a year ago, the council pushed an initiative to go to an idle-free campus.
Last year, Cache Valley had the worst air quality in the world, and idling cars added to that problem. Students on campus have been directly affected by idling as well. Exhaust from the carpool drop-off at the Edith Bowen School on campus was being sucked into the air intake and out into the Valley View Tower. Since USU became idle-free, Signs have been placed around the carpool lane, and students have been able to breathe cleaner air again.
I feel like issues have been resolved because you shouldn't have to smell people's exhaust when you're in your house.
But not all idling problems have been fixed.
For buses, it kind of depends, I guess, on their purpose. I know there have been times when I've actually, people have been asked to turn it off.
Besides your health, idling hurts another area too, your pocketbook.
When you idle your car, not only are you getting 0 miles to the gallon, you're also causing unneeded wear and tear on your engine.
So how often should you worry about turning off the car?
People should not turn off their cars or vehicles when they're in traffic, because there could be emergency situations. You need to be able to take care of that when you're driving. It would be more when you're in a parking lot, when you're waiting to pick somebody up or dropping them off. That's when you'd want to turn your vehicle off.
The USU Sustainability Council says they want this message to be a positive one and hope this information will inspire people to create a healthier community.
The university isn't the only one trying to go green. Coming up, we'll tell you how Logan City is trying to fix a sticky problem with a very green answer.
And Cache County trains for a disaster.
Thanks for calling the GED Pep Talk Center. Jerry Stiller speaking. Your level 7 in-your-face pep talk.
I can keep pushing. Believe me, I'm good at it.
Once you've got your GED diploma, you'll feel so good about yourself.
You tell him.
Mr. Trejo, can I transfer this guy to you? He needs something a little more
persuasive.
Yes.
Whatever motivation you need, we've got a pep talk for you. Get your GED pep talk and find free classes at yourged.org.
Here's your check.
NFC, AFC, offensive linemen, defensive tackles, quarterbacks, and cornerbacks are all living united to ensure the academic success of millions of kids in our communities all the way to graduation day. But that won't happen without you. So take the pledge at unitedway.org. Make a difference in the life of a child. Suit up like your favorite NFL players and become a volunteer reader, tutor, or mentor with United Way.
You should pick that up.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
For you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
For nearly 50 years, Cache Valley's waste has been managed about the same way. But with a growing population, they are looking for options. Our Bradley Wells has the details. In the bathroom. Bradley?
That's right, Brandon. You all know what this is, and you all know what happens in here. But I was able to find out more information about what happens after this.
They are aerobic lagoons. They comprise 7 different cells. The majority of the wastewater here in Cache Valley comes to this site and is treated through these lagoon systems.
I'm here at the Headworks. We're nearly 15 million gallons of water. It's a 60-day journey through the lagoons.
So the lagoon systems right now do a really good job of treating organic material that comes into the system. That's mostly carbon-based material. What they don't do a really great job of is removing the phosphorus and nitrogen.
One of the ways they can clean up these extra minerals is through the growth of algae, which not only cleans the water, it can also be used as a natural fuel.
Algae accumulate the nitrogen and phosphorus. So then we harvest the algae and we can take that and produce biofuels and bioproducts.
Currently, algae is not good enough alone to meet these standards, but there are plans to maintain the research with hopes that one day it will be.
There has been some changes on phosphorus limits, and most recently the limit of ammonia.
Because of these changes, the City of Logan is going to be building a new waste management plant to the south of the lagoons so that they can meet the requirements. This will require residents to pay an additional $10 to $15 to help fund the project.
When we looked into, we have no choice except to go to a mechanical treatment plant.
Logan City has been given a compliance period that ends in 2017. Hamoud hopes that the construction can begin at this time and they can get things going. Back to you, Brandon.
Thanks, Bradley. Logan City says the fee increase could be as early as next year when they are hoping to start construction.
Utah Public Radio and the Journalism and Communications Department are teaming up to give USU students more opportunities to work in radio. But this change shouldn't affect your favorite programming. UPR says they will work with JCOM to teach students how to write and report for radio, and this will lead to an increase in the quality of student reporting. According to interim station manager Carrie Bringhurst, the new station manager will teach radio classes in the near future. Bringhurst says the station will also focus on local and feature stories. Bringhurst says she thinks these changes will be good for UPR.
It's important, and it's always been one of our objectives to help students and to have an academic role. And this will just enhance this opportunity, and it will also, I think, create more of a concise way of doing things.
While UPR is just now partnering with the JCOM department, the station says it's been a part of the College of Humanities and Social Sciences for years.
What would happen if a passenger flight crashed at Logan Airport? We went down to the runway to answer that question. These firefighters would be putting out fires from a crashed airplane. But today, it's just a drill.
If anybody can hear my voice and you can move, try to get out.
And the hurt passengers inside this bus, posing as a plane, just volunteers.
Piece of shrapnel stuck in my arm.
On my leg.
And the volunteers made it as realistic for the crews as possible.
That's why we train, so that if the real event is a school collapse or a bus rollover or something like that, these resources can get here and they've learned what their role is.
This is great training. This is great to get all these different agencies together. It's the new crash truck, and we don't do this a lot, so it's very useful.
Useful for agencies that came from all over Cache Valley. Agencies like fire departments, hospitals, the National Guard, and EMTs. Even Lifelight came to transport the injured to Logan Regional.
No one agency is big enough to handle a mass casualty incident. That's how we define a mass casualty. It's too big for one agency to deal with by ourselves.
Now that everything's cleaned up, it's time for the firefighters to compare notes and evaluate.
Certainly there are things that we need to learn and that we need to improve on.
Like being ready for anything when the call
Command medical, go ahead.
comes in. There were 184 responders from 11 different cities and towns in Cache Valley. Well, it is getting cold, and I am starting to put on my jacket.
Yeah, and I am not super happy about that because it's cold in the morning, but then it's warm in the afternoon, and so it's like I'm always carrying around all these extra clothes that I don't really need by the middle of the day.
It gets kind of annoying.
But we will, after the break, Victoria Hepworth will tell us how the weather is so indecisive and what we can expect in the next few days.
NFC, AFC, offensive linemen, defensive tackles, quarterbacks, and cornerbacks are all living united to ensure the academic success of millions of kids in our communities all the way to graduation day. But that won't happen without you. So take the pledge at unitedway.org. Make a difference in the life of a child. Suit up like your favorite NFL players and become a volunteer reader, tutor, or mentor with United Way.
Separate raw meats from other foods by using different cutting boards. 3,000 Americans will die from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
Awesome. Are you going to be able to tell us if we're going to expect some more stable weather, or is it going to continue like this?
And I have a surprise.
It's white and it's fluffy, and it comes from the sky. So let's take a look at our current national radar. All right, so we can see that the southern states are getting the most storms and moisture. The storms are coming up into the mid-east over here. All right, and storms are moving up this way. So that means that over here where we are at, this little tiny storm, it's moving this way, which means we're gonna have it for the next day or two. Washington State has some coastal storms up here, and the Dakotas and Minnesota have their own little storms. All right, coming to our local radar, it looks like the bulk of the storm bypasses us, but we actually do get hit. So it comes in tomorrow. This piece right here is gonna hit us, and so be prepared for that to happen. Temperatures are pretty constant around the valley. Our 7-day forecast is up next. Tonight we have a 30% chance of rain, especially after midnight. As for Thursday, snow. That is if it gets cold enough. Highs for tomorrow will be around 50 degrees, and tomorrow night will be like 27. So depending on how cold it will be is whether or not we will get snow or rain. So be prepared for either one. The same goes for Friday. It's a toss-up whether we get snow or rain. I know, the BYU game is this Friday, so let's all cross our fingers because Friday night it's supposed to get clear. The question is, will it clear up in time for the game? My advice is to bring a poncho and lots of warm clothes because even if it clears up, it will be pretty cold with highs only reaching 49 degrees. Lows at right around freezing. Saturday and Sunday can be expected to be sunny, highs of 56 and 57, and the same goes for the next week.
All right, so bring a coat to the game then.
Yes, lots of them.
Thanks, Victoria. Coming up after the break, Jason and Lee bring you Aggie Sports Corner.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Aww, you should pick that up.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how. Teach your kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
Thanks for calling the GED Pep Talk Center. Jerry Stiller speaking. Your level 7 in-your-face pep talk.
I can keep pushing you. Believe me, I'm good at it. But at some point, you're going to need to start pushing yourself.
See, once you've got your GED diploma, you'll feel so good about yourself.
You tell them. You can't change your past, but you can definitely change your future.
That makes me so happy, I'm ready to bust out a dance.
Mr. Trejo, can I transfer this guy to you? My gentle technique isn't really working. He needs something a little more...
Welcome to Aggie Sports Corner. I'm Lee Kubik.
And I'm Jason Borba. This is our first ASC of the semester, so let's get right into it with some Aggie football. Utah State has played in plenty of marquee games in the past few years and has come up just short every time. USU's lost its last 5 games by a total of 13 points, and it seems like it always comes down to a special teams mistake, such as a missed field goal or an onside kick recovery. So Lee, are special teams to blame for Utah State's recent losses?
It doesn't come down to one player. It comes down to one play maybe. A lot of things go on with that play though. Depends on the line, depends on the holder, depends on the kicker. If it's off by even half of a second, throws off the play and we blame the kicker.
I definitely agree, but it just seems like they should have that down because that is their job. That's all they do. When you come out of high school into the college game, that's your job, is to kick a field goal or an extra point. And if you miss a 37-yarder, there's really no explanation of why you would miss that, or even an extra point, which is literally a chip shot. So I just think it's unfortunate, but it's part of the game.
And a lot of things can go wrong.
Exactly.
Staying on the topic of football, Chucky Keaton was one of 30 players named to the Heisman Trophy watch list before the season. Social media has embraced this by creating Chucky for Heisman pages, and the athletic department distributed trading cards to help promote Chucky. Does he still have a chance, Jason?
I don't think he has a chance. I don't think he ever had a chance. I'll give you one name, Kellen Moore for Boise State. He had amazing stats in 2010, 33 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, had Boise State number 3 in the BCS, and he came in 4th place. He was invited, but he came in 4th.
I think Chucky being invited is a win for the university. It's a win for everybody involved, and that should be, well, it's not his goal, but that's a win.
Yes, very true. The discussion of whether or not college athletes should get paid is ongoing, and over the summer, those discussions intensified. Johnny Manziel was accused of signing autographs for money, which violates NCAA rules. College athletes aren't allowed to receive improper benefits such as money. Do you think that should change?
There is no correct answer. I have not found one answer that just proves everybody else wrong and that is perfect, and that's the problem.
Yeah, I don't think they should get paid. I mean, they already get their stipend from the school, they get their tuition paid for, housing, all of that. Maybe they can find a way to, the school can do something to find, give them money on the side, like have an autograph session where they invite all the players and people pay for those autographs. Because I do think it's their brand, it's their name, it should be used somehow. They're just a way to, they have to figure out how to do it.
Yeah, and that's going to be tough. Our second rivalry week is upon us. BYU seems to have most of the hate on campus, but we see both schools are represented on campus by what students wear. Jason, who should we hate more?
I personally think it's BYU because we kind of want to be like Utah. Utah's won 2 BCS games. We want to be like Utah, so BYU is just natural to not like them because they're kind of ignorant because of their national championship in 1984.
But why? What makes them different? What makes Utah different? They are just like BYU. They hate us just as much. They look down on us just as much. And so what's the difference between them and BYU?
I just think people, and even here on campus, people wear BYU and Utah stuff. We know you got rejected from BYU, so you don't have to show it off. And they're just ignorant. I just don't like them at all. BYU linebacker Spencer Hadley was suspended indefinitely for this picture that surfaced from Las Vegas. It was ruled a violation of the honor code and will keep him off the field against the Aggies Friday night. Lee, what do you think his absence will do for the Cougars against us?
Like I said in the first segment, it's a team sport. One player is not going to change the outcome. However, he's very important to that defense. Even the defensive coordinator thinks he is just as important as Kyle Van Noy.
Exactly, yeah. It's going to be felt, of course, because he's such a great player, but there's other players that have to step up. Kyle Van Noy is going to be a beast in this game. I think he's going to have a great game, stop our run game. So there's no, yeah, it's unfortunate he's gone, but I don't think it'll affect anything. I think the worst thing is the fan who turned him in. I think that's just wrong.
He couldn't pick a side. BYU, Utah, he didn't know what he wanted to win. Well, that concludes this edition of ASC.
We'll be right back with more ATV news.
Thanks, guys. When we come back, is it an event or a sport? We'll show you how USU's rodeo team did over the weekend.
And a frustrating lack of campus parking has students asking if it is worth it to spend the cash.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Here's your check. Oh, you got it. You know, since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Hey? God, no.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early. You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Separate raw meats from other foods by using different cutting boards. 3,000 Americans will die from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Aww. You should pick that up.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Welcome back, Aggies. This valley is known as a farming community, and where there are cows and horses, there are rodeos. Fans gathered at the Cache County Fairgrounds Friday and Saturday night for USU's Fall Stampede Rodeo. USU's rodeo team took on opponents from Colorado, Idaho, and right here in Utah. Some of the events included tie-down roping, steer wrestling, saddle bronco riding, and goat tying. The Weber State men's team and the Idaho State women's team won the overall competition, with USU's men and women's team coming in second. USU rodeo fans say they think students should come out and support their team.
It's a sport just as big as football and basketball. I mean, these people practice just as hard, if not more, because it's them and their horse or them and the livestock, and it's a dangerous sport, but this is what they love to do, and it's always a good time. It's always fun.
This was the rodeo team's only home event of the season, and despite the chilly weather, the team said it was a big success.
Students across the valley are complaining about the parking system at USU. Caesar Abbott tells us why buying a parking pass doesn't guarantee you'll have a parking spot.
Finding a parking spot at USU campus has been for a while a challenge for some students, especially those with morning classes. Every once in a while, you can hear a student or a classmate complain or blame that the cost of being late to class is the inconvenience of not finding parking and having to park somewhere else far.
If the blue parking is filled up, then I have to go down to the yellow parking and take a bus up, which would make me late for class. So usually if the blue parking's filled up, I just have to sit and wait until a parking space opens up.
According to Parking Services, they do lot counts every 2 weeks, and every time they find open stalls in the mornings and especially in the afternoon. It is without a doubt that students like the convenience of parking right in the middle of campus, which is the case of this parking lot, which is always full in the mornings and early afternoons. So imagine every student with a car trying to find a spot in the same lot or lots during the morning. That's right, chaos. Here are some of the facts given by Parking Services Director James Nye. There are 3,364 stalls between the blue and yellow areas, plus 250 in the Aggie Terrace. The Aggie Terrace permit costs $204, while the blue permit costs $99. The demand is high and the prices are low compared to other schools. Now, what other options are there? You could walk, you could take the CBTD bus, Aggie shuttle, or you could even bike to classes.
Yeah, I think it would be convenient to have more parking on campus if it's possible.
Caesar Abbott, ATV News.
Although walking and taking the bus might require you to wake up a little earlier, students say you'll have a better chance of getting to class on time if you take the bus.
Just like the weather, flu shots are changing. Now one shot can protect you from even more flu viruses than before.
Shoulder muscle is the best place to get.
The 2013-2014 flu shot now protects you from 4 strains of the virus instead of the usual 3. The shot is available earlier this season at local pharmacies. And according to the Center of Disease Control and Prevention, about half of Americans aren't getting the shot because they say they are scared it will make them sick.
It's just your immune system. A lot of what you feel when you get sick is your own body fighting the infection. Like a fever is your own body trying to protect itself. So things like that you can get from just a flu shot without actually getting the flu. Most of the time those symptoms only last a couple of days.
There is limited supply of the quad vaccine, so it is only available while supplies last.
Thank you for joining us on this edition of ATV News.
From all of us here, please stay healthy and enjoy the cooler weather.